A nearly 2-hour-long phone call between US President Joe Biden and Xi Jinping has ended. The leaders of the world's two biggest economies spoke for the first time since November. Washington wants to stop Beijing from providing military and economic help to Vladimir Putin. Chinese state media reports Xi has told Biden that conflict is not in anyone's interest. For more on this, let's head to the White House, where our correspondent Kimberly Halkett is standing by. Kimberly, first time these two leaders have spoken since the war in Ukraine began. What are the two men trying to achieve, and are there any hints of any progress?
Well, what we know is from the U.S. side, the White House press secretary was very clear about what the United States and the West was hoping to achieve, and that was to really pin down from a U.S. standpoint, from the Western standpoint, where exactly China stands with regard to its relationship with Russia. In other words, there has been grave concern about in the words of the White House press secretary Jen Psaki, the absence of denunciation by China with regard to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And according to her, she believes that speaks volumes around the world. And as a result, there's also been a lot of concern about the alignment between China and Russia. Specifically, reports that China has potentially been selling weapons to Russia to assist in the ground fighting as well as in the air. And so this has been something that the U.S. president was hoping to try and secure in terms of where this relationship is moving forward, where the United States can count on China, and whether or not the United States and the West can count on China to use its economic leverage with Russia to potentially secure a ceasefire in this conflict. So this is the sort of essence of the call. We know that it lasted nearly 2 hours. The U.S. president took it in the Situation Room of the White House. That is a secure location. And that this comes on the heels of a discussion that took place earlier in the week between the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, and his counterpart in Rome. That conversation lasting about 7 hours. So you can see there was a lot to discuss. And again, a lot of concern about where China stands and whether or not it will assist in trying to resolve this crisis.
And Kimberly, as you mentioned, it's no secret that this relationship has been strained at the best of times. Talk us through the relationship between Xi and Biden.
Well, the U.S. president has said that he believes that Chinese President Xi is his friend. But when it comes to their sort of ideological perspectives, they're very different. The U.S. president spoke about this, in fact, as he was speaking at a luncheon on Capitol Hill just on Thursday. He said that Chinese President Xi believes that there is no future for democracy, and the U.S. president believes just the opposite. He believes that this is an inflection point in history. In other words, that the battle right now globally is between autocracies and democracies. The U.S. president believing democracies will prevail, and that is not a view shared by Chinese President Xi. And so this is where the battle of ideologies comes in, and it really transcends everything, whether it's the military, whether it's the economy, whether it is the social structure of these two nations. And this is why their differences have been at times so difficult to resolve. And we've seen this play out for years, not just when it comes to the economic relationship, the sanctions that have been levied against one another and their economies, but also over the issue of Taiwan and the concerns that the United States has there, and some of the actions that that China has taken militarily and sort of asserted itself in the South China Sea. So these are things that the United States and the West are watching very closely. They're watching closely as China exerts its pressure on Russia, because, of course, this could have another chapter in its own region that would make the United States very nervous. So this is why the United States is trying to keep this dialogue open. The press secretary believes that there is the opportunity to resolve some of these differences and at the same time have a potential ceasefire in this imminent crisis.
Oh, to be a fly on the wall during that conversation, Kimberly. Thank you very much for breaking it down for us. Kimberly Halkett, live for us in Washington, D.C.